Hello, 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 hello. It is Monday. It is another year, another day, and of course, another stream. First stream of the year, the third. So the first Monday of this year. Hope everybody's been got through the last few days fairly well, I guess. Welcome back, Hustler. Hope you enjoyed your I guess what would you call it, like your new year, let's say, so far. Welcome back, Memers Haven or Heaven. Welcome back for you too. Today, of course, after doing the quiz sketch, and after me starting later because I couldn't start earlier. That's the reason. Okay, no, I ate, or we ate dinner later, so I don't want to like stream for an hour then go off again and then come back up. That's kind of annoying to me, so I decided to do some other stuff, and now we're here. Today what we're gonna do is I kind of noticed that after revisiting my, I guess you could say, arcane characters that we've created, I noticed that I think the thing that is holding them back the most, or what I sort of noticed and what I also noticed from like some comments from others and some feedback, is that they sort of, I think what is sort of the thing that's sort of holding them back the most are the eyes. I think, at least in my opinion. New things to learn this year, especially 365 days to learn new stuff. So yeah, I kind of noticed that the eyes look kind of flat and more, I guess you could say, comic-y and more stylized, you could say, rather than realistic. And if you want to create, realistic characters, it can make a big difference. The eyes are something very, very, very significant in somebody's face. So getting those right is very important. And I noticed that I think I can still learn a lot and improve my eyes for my characters a lot until we reach a point where they actually look like photorealistic. So what I want to do today is I want to focus on the on the eyes. So we're going to do some studies, we're going to do some experiments, and we're going to discuss some stuff about eyes, how to make realistic eyes, how to create realistic eyes. I've experimented a little bit more with my displacement textures and how they can look even better than they already do. I mean, the ones that we've used for the arcane characters. I had an idea today that I experimented with, and I think you can make the skin texture look even better and more realistic, especially if you zoom in a lot, which I want to show today as well. Welcome back, Kutu. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. So, new year, but I still can't remember the names. And welcome, Escarm, all of us, let's say. Hope that was the right pronunciation. Yeah, so I kind of wanted today focus on analyzing the eye, which components there are, what other artists do to create realistic eyes, sort of the benchmark that I want to set for myself to that I want to get to this year. It's probably not going to take a full year to get there, but just kind of set the goal and go from there. Let me just quickly go to There you go. Yeah, that would be the goal, basically. And today we're going to go into the first step, analyzing it. And once we kind of know what we need to do, we can then go and put all of that into practice. I have a few new things that I want to do, or I have a few new projects that I think will be very cool. We're probably going to start with those. Well, maybe this week, maybe next week. We'll see what how I guess today goes. I'm sort of split between whether or not I want to devote this week to sort of practicing eyes and kind of getting better at them, or going into the you know what? No, we can actually combine the two. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah. So today will probably be the most prevalent topic will be eyes, and then of course on Thursday we're gonna have the next feedback session. So back-to-back weeks, you could say. Not really, but you know, last week we did one, or the last streaming week we did one, and then this week we're gonna do another one. So if you have any more submissions that you want to submit, make sure to do that until Thursday. It's like that in France. The end of my name isn't what you think. Yeah. Usually I can sort of, the intuition kind of gives me a good pronunciation for French, I guess, words. But I think with the words I'm kind of lost. There it is. Ramon Martinez. Wait, that was an hour ago. Wait, did I log into the wrong account? Oh no, hold on. Why do I always log into the wrong one? Yeah, so that's gonna be the goal for this week. I plan on doing more. Well, no, you know what? Every time I say what I have planned, something changes, and which changes the whole plan. So I'm just gonna not say anything. Just, I guess, you'll see what happens. I guess that sounds weirder even than. Okay, there you go. That sounds even weirder, but yeah. I have some plans that will also affect the videos and the stream together. I kind of want to make the stream and the videos a little bit more, not necessarily interactive, but more beneficial for not only me but you too. Okay, hold on, I'm almost done. Okay, there it is. Oh, there you go. I'll just call you Scarm if that's okay, or Scarm. Thank you for the follow. Welcome, BotRaiser Delirious. Hope you enjoyed your Monday too. Hope you had a great New Year so far. First 3 days. Welcome from Kyrgyzstan, I guess you could say. Hopefully that was the wrong, another name. I'm already struggling. Okay, let's go into Blender. Oh, we didn't even go here, right? Did we? Yeah, we did. Yeah, you can see here. Waiting for the photorealistic eyes in Blender, and then the 30-minute quick sketch. We're gonna do that before. So if you're here watching the VOD on YouTube, you can go into the timeline, and there should be timestamps. Let's go into Blender. There you go. Do we need more? We do need the window. There it is. So this will be today's quick sketch reference. As you might notice, or you might notice it in the future, I've added some more music into the playlist, just a little bit, mainly from the Riot Games creator playlist, I think it's called, or playlist for creators. Basically, they collect all the music that they have the permission or the license for, and they made them all, I guess, usable with attribution for content creators or whatever. And they had some pretty cool music, so I added those too. So just kind of expand the library. Maybe I should make like a version 1 and version 2, because you can still kind of notice when there's an old song that, or at least I do, an old song that has been played like countless of times. But I guess, doesn't really matter too much. Welcome, Still Black. Still Black. Either way, hope you enjoyed your Monday too. Welcome. Yeah. I mean, I guess a quick teaser. You know, you notice maybe sometimes when I talk about what I do for these quick sketches, I want to make that, I guess a more, I guess rather a, yeah, I want to do something with that. Not necessarily with the quick sketches, but what I usually do for these. That was enough information, okay? Okay. Looking live and watching playing League of Legends. Oh, yeah. If I watch a stream, I usually also do something in the background. Otherwise, yeah, I either watch videos or live streams. Still black? Okay. Still black. Okay. Okay. So there you go. So we have the good old sphere. We have the brush. We have the pen. We have the timer. I would say we can begin with the quick sketch in 3, 2, 1, go. There you go. Okay. Okay, perfect. Of course, I did these I did these quick. Oh, hold on. There you go. I did these quick sketches, I guess, over the, what do you call it, like festive days? That sounds kind of weird. Like I had a name for it. There's a word, but I forgot it. Need to relearn English. Need to get into the groove again. You know, over the days I haven't been streaming, I've done these two, of course. My goal is to at least do a year of these. I'm still debating whether I want to do them after the after 365 days, just because it's you know, it's an hour, almost an hour less basically of the stream, and it's a good warm-up, but it takes a long time to do. So I'm kind of debating whether I want to do these every day or not. And with what I have planned, maybe I can substitute that. We'll see. Holidays, yeah, there it is. Okay. Are those just empties in the middle there? Yeah, no, the empties are for the camera. So what I usually do, I was always annoyed when I create oh yeah, okay. You might hear the music a little bit louder too. Maybe that's I don't know when I changed it, but I think I changed it after or around New Year. So the music should be a little bit louder. I kind of noticed in older streams it was pretty quiet. Maybe it's too loud now, but it shouldn't be too much louder anyway. What I usually use these for is I was always annoyed with the camera, always having to set up the camera and then also the lights. So what I did now is I made a small camera rig, basically grabbing a 2 empties, one for the focus point or the middle of the camera and one for the depth of field. So if you move one of these empties, it moves the camera. The camera always looks at this empty. So you can, for example, place the empty on a character's head, and then the camera will always look at the head, even if you move the camera. And the other one is for depth of field, so that you can set these two up very, very easily, very, very intuitively, without really having to fiddle around with the camera values and rotation and all that. That was always the most annoying part. You know, you want to kind of find a good, I guess, direction, or you want to find a good camera angle, and you always have to kind of, you know, every time you move the camera, you have to rotate it again, and then you have to move, and then you rotate until you find a good angle. So I kind of wanted to automate that a little bit more. My cast isn't enabled. What do you mean? My cast? Okay. Hold on. We're already behind. Okay, let's get into this. There you go. He has quite a nose. His head is quite flat, quite short actually. His nose is quite high, so I'm gonna move this up a little bit. He has quite a big smile. There you go. Okay, we need to make this wider. Today there's a new video. I think on Wednesday, we experimented a little bit and sort of, I guess, manifested a workflow for how you can apply tattoos to a character, or how you basically can use textures like stickers in Blender, and how you can use that for tattoos, for example, or for other stuff, you know, like actual stickers or whatever you want to use it for. Yeah, that's the video that released today. So if that's interesting to you, then you can watch it. I still want to try and use soft wrap for that and see if that's even better. Just because it sounds pretty, in my head when I think about it, soft wrap, using soft wrap for that would be probably even better than using, for example, a curve to shape the plane, just because it's more intuitive and it kind of wraps around the object immediately rather than having to use a shrink wrap modifier. But I would have to kind of, yeah, maybe we'll do that at some point. Okay. Instead of doing random quick scopes, you could try to pick a body part or model and try to recreate it in different ways the entire week, something like an arm. Yeah. That's sort of hitting on what I want to do in the near future, so that we can practice together. Basically. Okay, so we have the nose. Looks weird, I know. Don't worry, it'll hopefully get better. Then we have the eyes right here. Very big. Maybe they're a little bit too close together. We'll see. Oh yeah, they're definitely too... Wait, we need to pull this back. Okay. Good thing is, the more comfortable you get with, I guess, your sculpting tools or with your workflow, the more comfortable you get just kind of putting everything in, I guess, your sculpt or in your sphere first before you really focus on the right proportions and all that. You know, you can move around stuff so much that it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to place everything perfectly in the right position immediately. You can oftentimes just move it around afterwards, so you get more comfortable knowing that, and you know, you get more comfortable just placing everything somewhere and then placing it in the right order or in the right position afterwards. Doesn't mean that you just need to paste it somewhere, you know, you still need to make a good guess, I guess. But it's yeah, it just becomes a little bit, you get a little bit more comfortable. Sounds weird. It just feels freer at some point. Like, oh, you know, maybe it's not in the right position, but I can still fix it later. You could use the video from those days to make a new video for the main channel, like how the muscles wrap and all that. Oh. Actually, is that how it looks? Maybe a little bit. You know what? I'm gonna keep it there. There you go. Yeah, so one of the goals that I have is to turn more stream stuff into videos. I think I sometimes focus a little bit more on the stream than on videos. And videos is, I guess, the part that I guess will be seen by the most people, so I kind of want to pay more attention to that in the, you know, this year especially. And so I kind of probably want to, you know, make some stuff more rewatch friendly. That doesn't mean, you know, so it shouldn't really change the stream, I guess, itself, but it maybe changes the approach to certain topics a little bit to make it more I guess more engaging for you, basically, for you, because you know, we had some streams where we sort of talked about, like, hey, you know what, how can you you know, like this one, for example, how do you create realistic eyes? And I want to make those streams not necessarily only about like learn with me, but more like, well, it kind of felt like before it was more like a watch me learn. And learn, I guess, sort of with me, but I think the topic of learn with me can be highlighted a little bit better than what I've done until now. And that's like one of the goals that I have. Okay. So we have the first teeth here that are sticking out. So we're gonna add those now. Right here, good old mask brush. Grab the snake hook brush and then pull it out. I want to make them round as they are. They actually point backwards, so you need to pull them backwards like this. We don't need to go too far. I think that's pretty good. Okay, and then we have the other ones that come from up top. Let's add those now too. So an interesting article or blog post while I was watching or looking for, I guess, quick sketch references, or a quick sketch reference for today, that talked about the 3 circles of life, I guess, or for artists. You have the what was that? There was the comfort zone. So there were basically, it was a circle with 3 layers. The middle part, the core, was the comfort zone. The second layer was, or the first part, the core was green. The next layer was yellow. It was the interest zone, and the other one was, what was it? It was, I guess, pink or red or however, something like that. And that one was the non-interest zone, something like that. So basically, that is sort of supposed to describe what sort of, what limits you as an artist, and what, I guess, what might be the reason that your art, maybe, for example, especially for concept art, why it's sort of stagnating or always looks sort of the same, because, like, you might be interested in cars, or in machines and cyborgs, and in, I don't know, in beautiful men, okay, with glistering abs, and then you always do concept art of like heroes with, perfect, made out of marble abs, and give them some machine arms or some mechanical parts to make them look cool, So that's sort of the not only the that's sort of the, I guess you could say, comfort zone. You know how to do it, you know what it would probably look like, what looks cool, and then you kind of go from there. Then the interest zone is, you still want to learn more, but you kind of limit yourself in terms of what topics you learn more about. You kind of say, okay, now I like hot dudes, I like machines or cyborgs or whatever, and I like, what was the other one? I can't forget. I forgot. Let's say these 2. You still learn more, but you're still limited by the range of topics that you have. And if you increase the sort of, I guess, zone of interest, you can learn even more, because you have more to explore. So if you then say, hey, I like not only, I guess, hot dudes, I also like animals, and then you can look at animals, and you can learn what animals look like, what animals sort of have what sort of cool traits they have, what sort of looks cool about them, what they have like as their proportions, or whatever you want, and then you can incorporate that into your art, for example, as well. Before, you didn't really know about how cool animals look, but because you started getting interested in animals and what they look like, you learn more about them, and you can incorporate that into your art too. And thus you can expand your horizon. You can now not only make hot dudes with cyborg parts, cyborg hot dudes, but you can also now make hot dudes with metallic abs and a I don't know, a chameleon eyes and mice ears, okay? And this way you can sort of immediately see, or even just saying it, you can kind of think how much more diversity you can get and you can put into your characters, and how much I guess more unique they can look, and how much more range of, I guess you could say, characters you can create now. Hot dudes animal getting closer to furry? No. Getting closer to more hot glistering ab cyborgs. That's what it is. Okay. 15 minutes. Perfect. Just how I calculated. Okay, the forehead is a little bit too big. Let's make him smaller. Oh wow, that's an indent, not just smaller, just a negative. There you go. We need some eye lids, otherwise we don't really have something to ground the eye in, let's say, to hold the eye. So let's add that now. There you go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. For our dudes with big abs, just watch Baki. What's Baki? I guess that's an anime, I would imagine. Okay. We have horns. Let's add some horns too. Just like the teeth. We're gonna grab this. Actually, no, I think the head is a little bit too... The eyes are a little bit too close together. I'm gonna pull them apart. Look at that. Yes, perfect. And then we're gonna go here in between and grab this small dots, and then we're gonna drag them out. Like this. Nope, that's a little bit too small. Look at that. Perfect. A little bit too big maybe. We can still smooth it down. You can see the problem with smoothing is that it doesn't really change. It doesn't get affected by dynamic topology, which means that the more you smooth, the more the geometry just kind of shrinks together, which can lead to problems. Sometimes it can disconnect the geometry. So what you can do in that instance, you can just, if you notice it, you can see here how the geometry just gets tighter and tighter and tighter together. What you can do is you can, for example, use any brush that uses dynamic topology. And if you do it, you can see, you can then, for example, what I like to use is the snake hook brush. I then just use it, and then it basically, I guess, retopologizes it. This way you don't you didn't run into the problem that happens here. The more you smooth it, the harder it gets to smooth, because there's so much geometry in one place, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, and then you have something like this. To avoid that, you can just use the snake hook brush, for example. So I kind of smooth it, and then I use it, and I smooth it, and then yeah, that looks pretty good. We can even use it here, and there you go. Google it. Already back trying to stall me. I'm gonna Google it afterwards, okay? Not now. I'm concentrating on this quick sketch. We have 11 minutes. You're not gonna steal not even 2 of them from me. Still need to add the neck, so that's a little bit more that we need to add here. So this connects to the eye, and then it goes up. Look at that. Perfect. Welcome, Kevin. Hope you enjoyed your Monday too. Not only your Monday, of course, your holidays too. Welcome, welcome. Hope you've been doing well. As you can see, doing the quick sketch. And then afterwards going into a topic that I wanted to go into since I've finished my arcane characters. We're gonna compare the arcane characters. Actually, what I wanted to do, maybe we'll do that as sort of the end goal for this week, is I want to redo the arcane characters, or improve them at least. I don't want to redo them. I just want to change the eyes and see what difference it makes. Basically, that's probably the end goal for this week. Yeah, exactly. I'm concentrating on this hunk of a, I guess you could say, man. There you go. Okay, let's get into... let's add these horns here, and then we're good. Welcome back, Zachary. Hope you enjoyed your holidays too. And Happy New Year to you too. I'm not really somebody that likes to make New Year's resolutions. They kind of... Well, I think I'm someone that makes New Year's, or that makes these kinds of New Year's resolutions any time in the year. At some point, I just kind of realize, like, oh, I want to do that, or I want to improve that in my over the next whatever 3 months or whatever, and then I kind of just write it down, and then I try to improve it. It's not really something like, what I mean with I do these New Year's resolution whenever is at some point I just kind of realize, like, oh, I could do that, and then I immediately sort of change my whatever, sometimes it's more drastic changes, sometimes it's more, I guess, subtle changes, but there's always something that sort of I notice, and then I immediately want to focus on that and kind of do that, which is sort of similar to, how if you want to have like a New Year's resolution where you say, hey, I want to the easiest example would probably be I want to lose weight, and then you just sit there and you just sit there, you change your whole lifestyle, let's say, and then you notice, hey, it doesn't really work out, I don't really like this lifestyle, and then you go back to what you did before. You do these huge changes in your everyday life. I do that sometimes with, if I kind of notice something that I want to improve or want to do different, I guess. But at least I don't usually quit those things because I actually care about them, Not like, hey, I want to, look better, so I, work out now. Usually looking good is not really a good reason. Well, it's one reason, but it's not really the best reason for it. It was a blast. Nice. Happy Hanukkah. Mine would be to get more done. Oh, what do you mean? In general? Or in 3D? Or in whatever? In your life? I guess that includes everything. There you go. Welcome, Jorge Valero, let's say. Sounds Spanish, maybe Italian. Welcome. I would like to get in touch with you on Twitter, but I can't send you messages. Really? Is there a setting for it? I don't think I've disabled it. You can also do that on Instagram. On Instagram, there shouldn't be a... Like, you can send me messages and I will see it. If Instagram doesn't troll me. And it shouldn't. Because it didn't the last few weeks, let's say. So I think Twitter, Instagram would be the best way to go. I will probably forget that I need to change some setting in Twitter after 5 minutes, and it's more reliable to just use Instagram. But while you're here, hope you enjoyed your Monday, and welcome. Bucky started making me to want Bucky started making me want to work out. Okay. Yeah, so sort of thinking, hey, I wanna, I wanna look good. I think is one reason that people go to the gym. But I don't know if that's like a good, like a sufficient reason. I don't really know how to place it yet. So what I always think about is like there are reasons why you want to do something that come from external sources. So hey, my I don't know, my my table tennis teacher, my ping pong teacher always said I look skinny. he I don't know, or my friends at ping pong, they always make fun of me. And now I'm gonna work out because I want to prove them wrong, or I want to look better so they don't make fun of me anymore. I think that's like an external factor. And then there are like internal factors, like hey, I want to be healthy, I want to be I want to feel good, I want to, I don't know, like stuff like that. It would be internal, and at least in my experience, what I've heard, internal stuff is way more effective at actually moving you and changing your lifestyle, rather than external stuff. External stuff only gets you so far, because at some point you realize like, whoa, well, maybe time passes, even like a year or so, and then you realize, hey, I don't even I don't even play ping pong anymore because now I work out. So why do I don't really care about Bob, George, and Fred anymore that always laughed at me, Why do I do it? Why, if I don't see them anymore, why would I work out any longer? I don't necessarily enjoy it. I just did it because they laughed at me, And I don't really know what source or where I would place. I saw this dude, for example, and I want to have glistering abs myself. I don't know why I always come back to that. I don't really know where I would place that. It feels like it's external, but maybe not. Maybe it could be both. How do you smooth without using the smooth brush? If you hold shift while using any brush, you can smooth. You switch to the smooth brush. The difference is if you use the normal sculpt brushes, you smooth the sculpt like this. And if you use the mask brush and you hold shift, you smooth the mask. I guess that's one difference. So you don't always smooth the geometry. With some brushes, you smooth specific other parts of whatever you want to do in scope mode. I guess you smooth what you affect with the certain brush. Would be a good way to say it. Let's add the ear. It's always a big difference whether or not I did the quick sketch on stream or off stream. The ones I do off stream, I always spend a little bit more time on, so they look better. So if you go back through the through my Instagram posts, or Twitter even, you can see a stark difference between when I do them on stream and when I do them off stream. Usually off stream I kind of say like, yeah, you know what? It will probably look better with like one more layer of resolution. So I just add one more. And they, look better afterwards. That's what, one reason why they look better. And I don't really have like a huge time, I guess. I don't restrict myself to 30 minutes. I kind of say like, you know what? If I have the time, why not spend it a little bit more on it? This ping pong metaphor is too specific. I actually played ping pong at some point. I was the best one, let's say. I don't want to brag, but I was the best one in my team. Or at least in one of them. I was in two. The first one I played solo, and then at some point my friends played in a different, I guess, team. So I switched over to them. And then I was the best one there. I wasn't necessarily the best one, I guess, in the first one where I was. I think I was sort of competing with one more person. I'm not necessarily like a big competitive person, so I don't really care about that too much. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I mentioned that. Maybe because of external factors. Who knows? Just set up small goals, like when you go to the gym, see how many push-ups you can do by the end of the week and slowly increase, something you can measure. I like to always, when I think about how you reach goals, I always think about running a marathon. I always caught myself at some point when I ran in school, for example, like doing a mile or a kilometer or whatever, running like, you know, a certain amount, or maybe just running for an hour. I always caught myself looking down at my feet and just seeing, like, putting one feet in front of the other, watching every step and just kind of seeing like, oh, you know, how much more until I'm there, I guess, or whatever. I kind of always relate that back to how I at least try to improve in something. You see where the goal is, like very far away, an hour away or whatever, running an hour. And so the best way to do that would be looking at the goal the whole time. You don't really see that you're getting closer, but if you look at the ground or look at the feet, for example, looking at every single step that you do and seeing how every single step brings you closer to the goal, sort of motivates you to continue, and yeah, just kind of brings you closer. And then at some point you look back up again, and then you already ran, I don't know, 15 minutes. That's what I always, I guess, compare it to. Maybe I'm weird. Maybe nobody else did that. Maybe everybody just looked forward. See, I've added so many new songs, but everything that gets played is always the old stuff. And that's annoying. I need to make a volume 2. Or maybe I should make it, you know what? I have an idea. I'm gonna do that once I'm done here. Just a few minutes. Okay. Add some more texture here. That's good. There you go. It looks horrible, I know, but that's okay. Look at him. Okay. You know what? No, hold on. You never remesh? No, I don't remesh. With these quick sketches, I don't really remesh at all. I read about that some people remesh, so they don't need to use dynamic topology. But I would rather use detail flood fill for that. Because if you're using remeshing to add more geometry to your mesh, why wouldn't you just use detail flood fill? I guess maybe it's not as heavy on your PC, so you can even with higher resolutions do that. You know, your PC doesn't crash if you add more geometry. And what I always don't like about remeshing is that you lose detail, so I don't really use it for that. To add more detail to your character or to your sculpt. I always just use detail flood fill, or what I usually do is I just use the, what is it called, the simplify brush, this one here, this one, to add more geometry to my sculpt, because that one basically applies the, well, it's basically the detail flood fill brush, but for where you use the brush. So you can locally apply detail flood fill, and this way you can sort of circumvent the sort of bottleneck of detail flood filling something and then it just crashing, because it's less intense. You know, if you do the whole sculpt, you can probably imagine how hard that is on your PC. If you do that for like a small piece and then you just do that gradually for everything, you can still get the new layer of resolution, I guess, but you don't have to suffer the consequences of making a wrong move or increasing the resolution too high, basically. Happens in VLC. There's an add-on that you can add to randomize your list. Remeshing best. Wait, what was that about again? Hold on. Yeah, I don't have you to distract me offline. True. That's the good part. Okay. Oh, I have VL. I use VLC. Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Well, there's an add-on that improves the randomize, I guess. Is that what you mean? Because I already set it to randomize, so it shouldn't do that. But you know, we talked about that before. It seems like randomizing something isn't really necessarily randomized, like a playlist, for example. There's always a certain, I guess, pattern to it. It always jumps back to the same song at some point. I have the same problem with YouTube, with my YouTube music playlist, as I have with this playlist for some reason. Or you know, or it's just like when you kind of learn a new word and then you notice it every time, everywhere, but before you never noticed it because you didn't know about it, sort of, you know, because you haven't paid attention to it. But then you kind of learn about, I don't know, bread, and then you hear bread everywhere, but before you never notice it. You just think like, oh, you know, all of a sudden now that I know this word, everybody's just saying bread. There you go. Okay, let's save. We're at 337. Crazy. Only how many? I can't calculate. Not even 30 anymore. Not even a full month. Crazy. The randomize button doesn't randomize it too well. Tends to pick some of the firstly added files. The randomizer add-on actually randomizes. Oh, need to check that out at some point. Remeshing is best to use when you're in the blocking phase. I find it easier to move the mesh when the mesh doesn't constantly change like it does with dynamic topology. Yeah, so if you don't want to use dynamic topology, what you can do is you can just like you can sculpt and then you use your simplify brush, which is here for this one, for example, and then you can go into, how do you do it? You can press shift and tab. No, you can press shift and Z to go into wireframe mode. And then you can, for example, set the dynamic topology resolution to 50. I wonder if, what if you just disable it? Can you still use it? No, you can't. Okay. So you have to enable it. You can set it to 50 and then you can say, hey, I want to have everything set to 50. What you can do is you can just say, well, I want to detail flood fill it, or you want to like apply the new resolution to the whole sculpt. So you can say, hey, detail flood fill. And this way you can fill the whole thing with 50 resolution. Or you can also, what I started doing recently is I didn't care that everything like has a different resolution. I just kind of add more resolution where I need, which is probably, I think, which is sort of the, I guess, the way you're supposed to use dynamic topology. Or you can just use simplify and then, you know, just do it like that. It's still a little bit laggy, but you can also just, you know, reduce the amount and just do it this way. Maybe my PC is strong enough to do this. Maybe others struggle. But that's how I did, how I do it. Actually, no, what I do now is I just go in here with 50 resolution and just, you know, continue working immediately. I don't necessarily apply the new resolution before I begin working. Okay. So what we need is lights. And luckily we have lights. There they are. There you go. Let's make it quick. Oh, I also changed my workflow in Photoshop a little bit. I made it easier. Found a filter that works very, very well and basically includes everything that I've used so far and even more. So that's what I've been using for the past past week, maybe even 2 weeks. You know what I always don't like about horns? They always block the things that, that I want to put focus on. Like, they have such an annoying shadow. Such annoying shadows. That if you want to see the eyes, for example, I would either have to put the light somewhere over here. I can't place it up here, because then it blocks the eye. If I place it on this side, there's just so much white here that it sort of removes all the contrast. So it's just, it just scuffed. I can't do anything. Just, you know what? Let's place it there. Looks like a dragon. You know, it can be whatever you want, okay? There you go. It's a quick sketch, okay? It's not a perfect, finalized sketch, okay? I'm actually going to leave that there. But we need to change the color. I don't know if I used red for a while. Let's see. Smaller light under the horn. I don't want to be too specific with them. Okay, I've used red yesterday. Well, that's that's a problem. What else could we use? Green? Let's see, when did I use green? Nope. Nope. Oh, that's green, right? Yep, that's green. Well, blue. Blue looks pretty unused. But blue's boring. What about purple? Oh, we're gonna use purple. Okay. Blue. Dark blue, bright blue. I think bright blue looks better. Looks more vibrant, more aggressive. Like that. Yes, perfect. And then we need to reduce the world background. There it is. And then we need the quick sketch shader. And there it is. And then we need eyes. Perfect. Red works best. Yeah. Why can't I move? Oh. I don't want to use the same color. You know, when I've already used it yesterday. Unlucky timing, I guess. Okay, eyes look kind of weird, but that's okay. Actually, they look pretty good. And then we need a material here. I want to make them glow. Nope, we're going to do that. Nope, we don't need this. We need emission. Where's my color? There it is. Okay. Yeah. You know, another song that we already heard a million times. Or at least I. Hold on, you know what? Now that we're here, we don't have the timer in our neck anymore. So what I'm gonna do... Wait. No. Okay. So what we're gonna do... How many songs do I have here? You know what? There you go. No randomizer anymore. What is that? Ah. Wait, you can actually say that it's supposed to repeat the same song. Oh. Okay. Interesting. Okay, no random anymore. No randomness. The eyes look good. I'm going to increase the strength just a little bit so that the glow effect works a little bit better. There you go. And we're done. So I think because the sculpt is quite rough, I need to change the shader just a little bit. I'm gonna bring the black parts a little bit. forward, make them stronger, just to kind of increase the contrast. There you go. Okay. Wait, let me see. I want to check something real quick. Oh, there it is. We're probably gonna listen. We could probably get to hear my favorite song that Riot ever released, I guess. Or at least the one that I still remember. Okay. Post-production. Glare. There it is. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Maybe we should set it to high. I also like to add the lens distortion now. I think it can add a cool effect to the whole thing. This here on the edges. So let's set it to 0.1. Oh, 1. Oh no, that's a little bit. Maybe 0.05. There it is. You can see this small rainbow or dispersion effect on the edges. I think it looks pretty cool. Kind of add this speed effect. If you set it to like a very, very high value, like 0.1, maybe even 0.5, you know, but I want to have it be very subtle. Welcome back, Palladium. Hope you enjoyed your new year, your Monday, and also hopefully you had vacation days. Hope you enjoyed all of them. My next question is, did you name yourself after the ore in Terraria? That's what your name always reminds me of. You know, after you reach the end game, basically, now you need to mine some palladium ore. I don't think palladium only, like, I think palladium is like a fairly common ore, not only in Terraria. So it's probably not from there, but maybe at least you thought about the material or the ore when you're creating your name. Love Fiddlesticks theme. Yeah, I mean, what I like to, you know, I like the music that I can listen to while I do other stuff, like in the background. So I wouldn't say that the Fiddlesticks theme is necessarily one of those. Maybe for you, but maybe not for me. We sketch day 3, 3, 7. Okay. Perfect. Oh, I closed Photoshop for some reason. Never played Terraria. What a shame. Heard the element in Iron Man. Oh. Yeah, I thought so. I didn't think that you know, it would be kind of weird if it's. I heard it in other, you know, games, I think even. So it's not just from Terraria. Okay. There it is. What we need is... Wait, I didn't save it. Wait, what did I... No, wait. Where did I save the image? Oh, there it is. Okay. So first of all, duplicate. Second of all, convert to smart object. Third of all, filter, camera, raw filter. Got COVID on New Year. Oh no. Hope everything's been going well. I hope that you've, or let's hope that you've caught the new release, the Omicron, you know, instead of Delta, because Delta definitely sucks more than Omicron. So I hope, you know, you got the new version, you got the updated version. That seems to be less severe and more, I guess, it spreads faster, but it's not as hard on your body. You get 40 more days of vacation. Oh, true. Okay, so what we can do here is a few more settings. So this is the camera raw filter. First of all, what we can do here is we can change the temperature. We can apply like a small color tint to it, which kind of adds this more organic effect. I don't know, I just like to add a small sort of secondary color into the sculpt. You can probably do that in Blender too, but I like to just do it here. So for this one, we can either decide to go maybe in the other direction, kind of add like a yellow effect so it looks more like it creates a good contrast between the blue in the background, or we can also go into the blue, make it more icy, for example. Maybe even add some magenta into it, or some green. I think what I actually want to do is I want to go into the orangey, in the orange direction. It makes it look kind of bony. I kind of like that. We don't need that, I think. No, we don't need that. Perfect. So now that we have we've added a little bit of temperature, we can of course change all these settings. What I usually just change here is the highlight and shadow setting. So we can increase the bright parts here with the highlights, and we can decrease the shadows with this one. The dark parts, basically. There you go. And then we can also add like a small, I guess, sharpening filter to it. Very useful for these quick sketches because they're very, I guess, smooth. With this one, you can just kind of increase the clarity. Well, the texture, let's say. And then you can also increase the clarity. Clarity usually is stronger than texture. You can see here. Ooh. Could you even see that? Oh, hold on. Already passed the worst of it? Okay, nice. Apparently you can't see the window. There it is. Okay, so that's what it was before. Then we added a small yellow tint, and I changed the highlights and shadows a little bit. And then you can see here, we can change this to add some more clarity into the image. Very, very helpful for these quick sketches. I don't really use dehaze. I'm sometimes use vibrance just because it kind of increases the colors a little bit. There you go. That's pretty good. And then a new feature that I like is the color grading. First of all, you can change I guess you can add even more colors into the image. So if you say, well, you know, very black shadows look weird. Let's go into the shadows and make them, I don't know, blue, for example. And then you add the blue, and then you can sort of give it this more bluish black, let's say. You can kind of add a small, yeah, you can sort of adjust the colors a little bit more specifically in these specific areas. So if you say, hey, I want to have these highlights, they're supposed to be more yellow, you can do that here too. I usually change maybe the highlights just a little bit. They're supposed to stay quite wide. We can change the midtones a little bit more if you want to increase the colors of this part here, for example. So you can see how it changes the look. Maybe just a little bit like that. So it went from white to yellow. And then I also add the effects here. We have a grain effect, add like this little bit of noise. Just makes it look a little bit more interesting, I guess. And then we have a vignette too. Either white or, of course, what you would usually use is black. There you go. Just kind of, I guess, focus the image a little bit more. And then we go from this to this in one simple step, or with one simple filter, let's say. Oh, I actually forgot to add depth of field. Well, you live, you learn, I guess. Who needs depth of field anyway? There you go. Oh, wrong folder. Okay. So we're going to begin with small things that I changed in my application of my, I guess, face scans. A few things to make that even better. And then we're going to go to the eyes. Studying the eyes and how I want to change my eye workflow, let's say. Yeah. Save it. There you go. My phone is ready to receive. Let's go back to Blender. Okay, let's make a new file. I'm gonna import or copy my quick sketch real quick. And then you're gonna see the good old compilation. You haven't seen it in a while, so maybe it's more exciting now again. Probably not. But yeah. 3 minutes, and then we're gonna go straight back to the eyes. Or we're gonna go to the eyes. We're gonna explore what makes eyes realistic, what gives them the depth, what are the characteristics, what they look like in real life, what they look like made by other artists, what they look like made by me, and what I want to change to make them look more like real life, basically, or like other artists. How I want to improve them. Okay. 3 minutes. I'm going to see you in 3 minutes. Hope you enjoyed the compilation. I'll see you then. Okay. We're back. We're back. Hold on. I'm too high up. I don't want to change the camera though. I guess you just have to live with it. I have to live with my head being cut off. Okay. So you can see we have a sphere. Who would have guessed? We don't need the sphere. Let's go into today's topic. So what I want to do today is, after revisiting and getting some feedback on my arcane characters, I kind of noticed, like, well, I noticed it when I created them, or when I was done with them. I sort of, I guess, didn't really know what it was necessarily. I think there are more factors than just one, but the one that I want to focus on today are the eyes. The eyes are something that is very, very important for a character, for a human, for a character, whatever you want to do. Eyes are very, very important. Even if you just only see the character of somebody, you can well, if you know the character good enough, you can attribute those eyes to certain characters. So eyes have a very important, I guess, are very important for a character to get them right. And especially for a photorealistic character, not only to get them right in terms of what they look like, but also, well, in terms of how they portray the character, what eyes the character has, but also just when you talk about photorealism, creating photorealistic eyes requires a little bit more work, a little bit more attention to detail. And I want to kind of explore what that means, what I did like for these characters, for example, for my arcane characters, and how I want to, like where I want to get to, and what it needs, what it requires, or, you know, what we need to do to get there, basically. So before we get into that though, I want to show a quick, I guess, I want to show you something real quick. Of course, I want to not only, I guess, study today, kind of go through different sources and kind of, I guess, learn, but I also want to do. So what we need first is a model. So let me import my model, and then I want to show you how I guess, improved my my skin shader even more that we use for the arcane characters, for example. So what I've noticed for my arcane characters is that the skin has realistic bumps, well, because it's a face scan, but it still looked quite flat. It didn't really necessarily look like skin. If you look at skin in like very close up, you can see all these small bumps, you can see all these small creases, maybe even like small, I don't know, blemishes, pimples or whatever. Stuff like that was or is in the texture too, but you couldn't really see them because, well, I only really used the texture as a bump map. Originally, the displacement textures were designed to be used as as ZBrush textures, so you can import them, and then you can basically you can use those, maybe for example as a displacement map, and then displace the actual model. So they weren't necessarily intended to be used in Blender, but they can be used very effectively in Blender too. Oh, there it is, the first bot this year. Beppa coming and greeting us with another cool link. So if you don't want to get scammed, don't click the link, I guess. So you can see here, this is the standard model that they give you for the head scan, and that's the one that I guess experimented with, and I actually learned something new. So if you, for example, go into your render settings, or well, if you have it on supported, for example, the feature set, and then you want to apply a subdivision modifier to your base mesh, for example, or to your model, it looks like this. You know, you have Catmull Clock, you have simple, you have the level of resolution or the level of subdivision that you want to apply in the render or the viewport. You have a few more settings, but those are not important. What is important is you don't have one setting that for some reason is only available in the advanced or in the experimental features set, which is called adaptive subdivision. There it is. Adaptive subdivision basically means that it dynamically subdivides the mesh, which means the further you are away from an object, the less subdivisions it applies to that object in your render, even in your viewport render. Which means if this model here, for example, is very far away, it would probably not even apply one subdivision level to it. But if you go very close, like as a macro shot, for example, it would add multiple levels of subdivision to it. So the closer you are, the more detail you get in, well, what you focus on, basically. This way you can sort of mitigate, or you can save some time rendering, or you can save some time, you can save some performance, because you only really subdivide what needs to be subdivided. I don't think you can render it out and see the effect, but it's hard to really show that in here. Let me show you, let me see if I can find an image. Blender advanced. No, advanced. Is it advanced subdivision? It's adaptive. Adaptive subdivision. Are there images? Nope. Images? Come on. Oh, there it is. That's pretty good. So this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You can see here, this sphere or this ring has adaptive subdivisions enabled. What that means is the camera is close to this part of the ring, so this has a lot of subdivisions. But if you go further and further away from this part of the geometry or from the camera, the geometry gets less and less and less subdivisions applied to it. So the geometry here in the back has a way less resolution than the one in the front. This way you can save a lot of, I guess, time and performance when you're rendering. And you can also apply way more detail to your model. Generally, for example, if you want to apply, like, I guess the best example would be a skin displacement texture, for example. You don't really see the super highly detailed skin details when you're like this far away from me, for example. But if I go very close, you can probably see, for example, for my finger, I don't know if you can even see that. For my finger, you know, you can see all the small pores and all the small details. Look at those beautiful fingers. Can it focus? There it is. Look at them. You can see all the small details, like how it shines through my finger. Come on, focus. And you wouldn't see that if I put my finger somewhere back here. So it sort of optimizes your geometry for whatever the distance to the camera is, to save yourself time and to save yourself performance. This way, you can subdivide your model way more than you could if you would just increase the subdivision level. Because the closer you get to a model, the smaller the geometry needs to be to have like high resolution, I guess, details. But the smaller the area also needs to be, that needs to be like this highly subdivided. And this way you can kind of reach like a, I guess, like a good mix between having enough detail and having enough performance, let's say. Let's set this clip start lower so we can do some macro shots. What I want to do now is I want to first apply all of my materials. I'm going to use the 16K material just because I want to have the maximum amount of detail. And I also noticed something else. I didn't know that, but if you apply a multi-resolution modifier, you can actually use a multi-resolution modifier and a subdivision modifier together, which means that you can still apply new levels of subdivision and scope more detail into your model, but you can also add the adaptive subdivision on top to add even more detail where it's needed, basically. I always thought you would have to have one or the other, but apparently you can do both, which is pretty cool. Welcome back, Crow. Happy New Year to you too. Thank you for joining. Interesting was the new year. I think this year will be very interesting. I'm very excited for this year. Hope you are too. Okay, so let's apply all the textures. First thing that we have is the color. There it is. Oh, you can actually see it. Well, let's go back. Okay, so we have 16K. First of all, we need the color. There it is. And then we also have the first layer of displacement. There it is. We put that into the color, and then we have color on the mesh. Takes a little bit for it to load. 16K resolution. There it is. Let's go into rendered view. I think that's actually faster. I also want to go into the world and apply the HDMI so we can see a little bit better. There you go. We don't need the slide anymore. Okay, so that's what it looks like. You can see the skin is smooth. I think I want to focus on the lips first because the lips have more bumps, I guess you could say. They're more three-dimensional. You can see we have some lines that sort of indicate where the bumps should be. But as you can see, there are no bumps. Another thing you can do in the subdivision modifier, you can change the dicing scale. Dicing scale basically means how much subdivisions you apply to the model, as far as I know, or as far as I understand it. So you can also set this to 0.5 or whatever. It didn't really make a big difference when I tested it, so I just leave it at 1. And then let's apply the displacement texture. So what we've always done so far is I've just, used a vector bump map, color into height, and then normal into normal. It works, and that's what I've done for the arcane characters. But it's not perfect, let's say. So first of all, of course, you can see it's very bumpy. So what I usually use, I decrease the strength to like 0.1, I think I did. You can see now we have more realistic, I guess, bumps, maybe even 0.2, but they're not perfect. You can see the lips are more bumpy, you could say. Let's look at some real lips for a second. Hold on. There we go. Let's look at some real lips. I'm gonna pull some up, and then we can look at them. I don't want to make this stream about lips, but I guess we can do it for a second. All I get is some lip gloss advertisement. I don't need lip gloss. All I need is lips. Yeah, I guess those work. Hold on, let me download it real quick. I don't even know where I should put it. Nope, let's place it there. Let's make a new folder. Call it Improving Eyes Volume 1. Version 1. There you go. Bucky's lips are gorgeous. You really wanted me to pull up Bucky, right? Okay, let me do that real quick. Okay, so those are... Oh, hold on. The reference lips. There you go. Look very different, of course, because of the lighting too. But I don't want to focus on the color or whatever. I really only want to focus on the... I guess the bumps. Baki. Okay. What is the actual name? Just Baki? Baki anime. This dude. That one. It's funny how, from what I've seen so far in animes, you either have ripped dudes or you have normal looking dudes. Like ripped and lean dudes, so they have no body fat. Or you just have normal dudes. I think another good example would be One Punch Man. So here you have like, hold on. Can we see some dudes? Hold on. Heroes. Well, all of them have clothes on. Well, there it is. Like, you see, like you can see every muscle perfectly defined. This dude, the muscles are just shaping the t-shirt. The t-shirt isn't shaping the body, or the t-shirt isn't just wrapped around the body. The muscles are so big that the t-shirt is basically part of the body. You know? Or then you have like normal looking characters, basically. Nothing in between. Baki's lips are gorgeous. Math note from front bump for accurate use. What do you mean? What do you mean with math node? So yeah, you can see here the difference. There's quite different. You know, this looks like it's more shallow than these ones. They have like the creases, especially the creases. Like this one has a lower range of, I guess you could say, depth. The depth is missing. The creases are quite shallow. The bumps are quite shallow. So this one just looks a little bit more refined and a little bit, I guess, it looks deeper, let's say. So what we can do for that is we can use, well, what the displacement texture is actually supposed to be used for, which is a displacement map. As you can see, we haven't added any subdivisions to this yet. Oh, so it looks like this. But because of the adaptive subdivision, we can still add very, very detailed, I guess, not subdivision, displacement to a mesh without having to increase the subdivision level manually. The adaptive subdivision does that for us. So yeah, what we can do is we can just go in here and we can plug this color into the displacement height, put the displacement height into the displacement socket, displacement node into the displacement socket, and then it looks like this. You can see it's way too strong, so let's reduce it. First of all, I don't want to use the bump node, and then I want to reduce the scale. I think I used it at like 0.0003. You can see it already looks way better than before. Or I don't know if you can recall it now, but in my tests that I've done, it looks way better. I think I've used even less. I think like 0.00025, just a little bit less. So we already have more depth now. When you need to use the bump math node, use bump math node more precisely set up. Well, what do you set up? You use a math node and then put it into the bump map, or what do you mean? Okay, so now that you have that, we can go into the next step. So that's what I first changed. I just kind of increased I used the actual displacement node to bring in displacements, but it still looks kind of flat. You can see here the bumps still look kind of flat. They look smooth, let's say. There's still detail that we can add to this. What I've done then is we have secondary and tertiary details too, which adds even more resolution or even more smaller details to the skin. So if we, for example, now just use the secondary displacement, and we put that after the lag is done. Takes a while, I guess. Hello. Okay, it froze. Perfect. Oh, it's done now? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So if we now plug this into the height, we get even better bumps, because this basically adds the bumps in between, like on top of what we already have. So we get even more details. I think 0.2 is too strong, so we're going to set it to 0.1. I think that should be good enough. And then we have even more higher resolution textures and even more realistic bumps. It looks very, very weird now, because there's one more thing that we need to add. Right now it looks very waxy, and you can probably guess why that is, because we haven't added any subdivisions, any subsurface scattering yet. So we need to add that, and once we add the subsurface scattering, it will look even better. It will remove all the waxiness and will make it look even more realistic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the subsurface scattering. We need to set something up real quick. This face or this head model is quite small, so we need to adjust the subsurface scattering radius values to divide it by 10. Oh, divided by, we can even do, hold on. 1 divided by 100. 1 divided by 100. Wait, no. Oh no, what was it before? 0.2 divided by 100. So I need to divide everything by 100 so that the scale is, the subdivision scale is better, is more accurate. There you go. And then I can change the subsurface scattering to 0.1. And then we actually have subsurface scattering in the skin. Now if we go closer to the skin, we can see that looks even better. The values that I've used before was, well, I divided them by 10 and then I needed to change the subsurface scattering value because right now it looks it's too much subsurface scattering. So we need to bring it back here in the subsurface scattering to 0.01, I think I did. These values don't do the exact same, subsurface radius and subsurface. So I'm just going to go back to what I've used before. Now if we go closer to this, we can see it looks like this. Welcome, Ray Steelworth. Hope you enjoyed your Monday. Hope you enjoyed your holidays too. Maybe you got something cool on Christmas. Maybe not. Maybe you got something. Maybe you got yourself something cool for Christmas, or maybe you just enjoyed your the free days. Come on, it's loading again. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, yeah. Now that we have subsurface scattering, it looks even better. Let's compare before and after. So this is with subsurface scattering. This is without. See how much flatter it looks. So much flatter. Then adding subsurface scattering, it looks like this. It just adds more depth and makes it look more organic. More like skin, basically. It's been a wild start. Hope you had a smooth entrance. Yeah, mine was pretty good. I kind of settled with some of my friends that we always, you know, celebrate Christmas together. Not Christmas, but New Year. And since then, it's always been very enjoyable. Before that, I always had to kind of find someone that I could, you know, go to. I guess that's always annoying because you know, kind of, you know, you get these sort of like asking someone if you can go to their party is kind of weird because you kind of invite yourself because it would be kind of not necessarily rude, but it would, like, nobody really wants to say no. If somebody asks like, hey, can I come to your party, for example, they could say something else, but you know, it's easier for them to just say, yeah, okay, well, I guess you can come. And you know, that always makes it, for me at least, kind of weird to like having to ask like, hey, you know, what do you do for, I don't know, New Year, for example. So I'm kind of happy that I have this group now that we just kind of, that it's like set that we're gonna meet and celebrate together or come together. Okay, and now you can see with subdivisions, I mean with subsurface scattering, it looks even better. And then we have basically the finished lips. Look how much more depth we have here. Let's compare before and after with displacement and without. So you can see what it looked like before and what it looks like now. So if we now, oh, let's actually see what happens if we set the strength to 0.2. Maybe it's too much, maybe it's not too much. If you increase the subsurface scattering, I mean the bump too much, subsurface scattering gets kind of funky. So we kind of have to be careful with that. You can see these, the skin look gets kind of bumpy now. Maybe that's too much. So what I like to set it, wait, didn't even change. Hold on. talking garbage. Hold on. It doesn't change too much, but it's still bumpier. I like to stick to 0.1. You can even control that with a like custom texture map if you wanted to. So you can increase the strength for the lips way more than, for example, for the cheeks, if you want to do that. But the texture itself should like do that by itself, so you wouldn't have to. So now that the lips, yeah, that's what the lips look like now. If you compare that before and after, with displacement and without displacement, you can see these nice deep bumps now in the lips. Let's see what it looks like without displacement. So this is without. See how much more depth we get using displacements. See how much... Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at that. You know, see how much more depth we get in the lips by just not only using the displacement map, the skin face scan, this displacement map, not only as a bump map, but also as a displacement map with adaptive subdivisions enabled. This is before, and this is after with displacements. Especially here, see how much more depth we get once it's done loading. See how much more depth we get here in the lips. It's actually pretty crazy. I was kind of let down when I did the arcane characters with how shallow it looked. But with all this, it looks way, way better. Even other parts of the, like the nose, for example, here. Look at the detail. We can even see like small bumps right here or here. See how much more detail we get. Sometimes you just gotta say no when you mean no. Doesn't get you sympathy point, but at least you get what you hear and see. To be honest, I actually respect people more that can say no. Just because like it's so uncommon for somebody to do that. So if somebody says, first of all, either somebody says, gives me like actual like negative feedback to like, I don't know, my art pieces, for example, or my artworks, or just says no to like a request, for example, like a genuine request, for example. I actually respect that more. Like, it's not like I don't respect somebody if they say yes, but it's like there's a certain, like, that's the normal, and then higher above that is if somebody says no, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's just something that not a lot of people do, and I think it's something, if somebody does that, and they don't do it arrogantly, I guess you could say, it's something that I actually respect quite a lot. Okay. Yeah, those are the small but pretty important changes that I do for my bump map. Just speak up and people will thank later. Yeah. It also makes you more trustworthy, I think. Or at least I think so. Because you actually say, like, I always get the feeling for most people, or like, there are some people that I know where I know that they don't think about, or they don't think the way they talk. Like, if you ask them something, you kind of like expect them to say no, but they say yes just because it's nice to say, for example. And then you kind of already know, like, oh, well, you actually, you know, you're kind of lying to me right now. You know, but it's so common that it's not really like a huge, like a big thing, I guess, for me. But it's something like small that I appreciate if somebody actually says no. Okay. I actually am curious if, what happens if I remove subdivisions? Does it still change it? Oh, wow. Wait. Maybe we don't even need subdivisions then. Apparently, adaptive subdivisions don't even change the look. I think it just makes everything a little bit smoother. Yeah, it makes everything smoother. But it doesn't necessarily change the look. So this might even look better than before. Wow, we don't even need subdivision. Okay, well, I guess we don't need it then. It looks even good by itself. And then if we add subdivisions, it just makes the model smoother. Okay, well, I guess we don't even need adaptive subdivision. Well, that's pretty good. Are you gonna do a completely photoreal human render? Well, that's actually a New Year's resolution that I had. Let me show you. Okay, now that we went through my skin shader changes, let me show you my piece, and then let me show you what I want to get to when it comes to realism. Okay. So if we go to, nope, we don't need to go anywhere, do we? Well, let me open up my artworks first. So let's compare my pieces to the piece or to the level that I want to get to this year. Doesn't mean that I will get there at the end of the year. It just means that I want to get there at the end of the year. Until the end of the year. Probably gonna be faster. Maybe not. We'll see. What do we need? Oh. So let me show you mine. And then let me show you the goal. Found you just in time then. Well, we're not gonna create like a full character today. The goal today is just to get to the goal, we're gonna focus on my biggest weakness today and probably maybe this week. Not necessarily today. We're gonna study and kind of learn a little bit more. Tomorrow we're probably gonna do something more practical. But today what I want to focus on is like setting the goal, I guess you could say. Used it once or twice. Welcome back, Lego robot. Oh, by the way, so I've experimented a little bit more and I found a better way to use the displacement maps. So challenge would be to do a digi double. Yeah, maybe. I would have to make photos first. Legit found you on TikTok. Ooh, the first one that said that. Welcome. Subscribed on Twitch and YouTube. Thank you. I'm glad I can entertain your interest. Okay. Most of the time you don't need it. What do you mean? You don't need it? You mean displacement? So let me show you what I did. Let me show you what I've used before, and then let me show you what I use now. So what I've done for the arcane characters is I've used just a bump map. Used the normal displacement map, I put that into the bump map. I think I used like strength of 0.1, and it loads, of course. Hold on. That's what it looks like. We can see some small bumps, but it looks pretty shallow. You can also, of course, also increase the strength, like 0.25 for example, but it still looks quite shallow right there. So the new workflow that I use now. Oh, you don't need it? What do you mean? Wait. Do it. Self-portrait. Maybe at some point. Maybe, you know, once we get to the end of the year. Okay, so that's what I've done for the arcane characters. We get some good bumps. It looks pretty good, but it can look even better. Okay, let's go through the whole thing once more. Okay, just quick. So what I've done now is I've experimented a little bit, and I said, well, why not use the displacement map actually as a displacement map? So now what I do, I use the human female skin displacement level 1 as the actual displacement. Put that into the displacement node right there, and then I use so that I have no bump map basically. So it looks like this, you know, very noisy. Adapt the subdiv. Yeah, it doesn't do anything for this map, so we can just get rid of it. So it looks like this. I think it looks already better, but we can make it even better. We can use in the folder is a Photoshop file, or well, oh, Blender froze, of course. in the texture file, there's a Photoshop map with like the texture map in 16K, and there's an action that is, I guess, in that file that if you execute that one, you get even more. Oh, there you go. Everything froze for a sec. I don't know why. Oh, I don't know why, but for some reason, Blender just freezes when I don't even know. Do something. But yeah, hopefully I'm still here. I am, okay. Oh, it dropped for a second, okay. So, set to bump only in the material. Oh wait, hold on. I'm stupid, am I? I think I'm very stupid. I actually forgot to change it to... Okay, it's set to bump only. So, yeah, so what I do now is I use... there's an action that you can use to create even smaller details. So you have a secondary and tertiary detailed bump map, which you can then set to... which you can then use as a bump map. So you combine displacement map plus a bump map, which then looks like this. It gives you even more detail in your skin texture. I actually am curious what it looks like now if we actually increase the... if we bring back adaptive subdivision and then set it to displacement. Thought for a second my PC is working overtime. No. My PC was just dying. So then I set it to 0.1 and then we have even more detail than we had before. And it looks even better in macro shots like these. So this is the new level. Let me show you before. This is before. Garbage, boring, weak. And then we bring in displacements. And it looks like... Come on. You can do it. Well, like this in 5 minutes. Happy New Year, Johnny. Happy New Year, Space Cookie. Hope you both had a nice nice New Year so far. The first 3 days. Hopefully you had a great... the last 2 weeks last year. Hope you got into the new year fairly well. And it looks like this. I'm kind of hesitant to actually bring back the adaptive subdivision because I don't want to kill the stream, so I'm not going to do that. I think this looks pretty good already. Meta message, false noise, space digger. Welcome. I see. Steelworth. You're German too. Space Cookie's just pretending. They learned... they're learning English. They're not from Germany, so they're an imposter if you want to say that. So they might not understand your message, but I do. Okay. Let me drink something real quick. My throat is dry. What gave it away? You mean that you're... oh, that they're not German? Well, they said it. I didn't I didn't I didn't out them. Okay. So now that we talked about that, the skin texture, let me show you what I wanna what I've done and what I want to get to this year. So, oh, there you go. So this is my last character that I've done, Caitlin. Here's the final image. And I like it. One thing that I notice, well, you could see bumps, but one thing that I notice is it could just be the denoiser and also the depth of field. It still has, it doesn't look fully like skin. I think the skin looks still fairly smooth. You don't really see these very, very fine reflections that you see in here. Like every single small bump that you can see here reflects the light, and you can see every single bump individually. Of course, that is just because I didn't do it the same way that I've done it here, because I've just recently changed my, I guess, my usage of these textures. But still, there are some things that I want to change. The first thing that I want to change is, well, the most important thing I would say, the eyes. I've used this eye model for quite a while, and I think it's how do you say it? It overstayed its welcome. At some point I wanted to have a good base mist that I can just use for every character, so I don't have to create new eyes every time. So I just followed I think it was CG Cookie tutorial for a procedural eyeball. It looks pretty good, I think, but it still has, maybe I've set it up in a wrong way or I changed some values so it doesn't look as good as it could be. One thing that I think sort of makes these eyes look a little bit more unrealistic or fake than they should be is that the eyeball itself is so white and there's no gradient. Everything is like, it's like pure white. Of course you have some white areas, so you have some like, there's like gray and then you have like a highlight here in the front, but there's no color changes. Eyeballs are generally more yellowish, and they also have like, I guess, like not necessarily veins, but blood vessels going into the middle or into the iris. You would see that on the side, which would tint the side or the corners of the eye slightly reddish or orangey. You don't have that here. So that's one thing that I want to change. I think another thing, we can actually compare that. Let's see what I guess differentiates this eye from a real eye. I think the best one we can actually look at is the one that I used for today's stream thumbnail. Hold on. There it is. This one, I think it's pretty good. So if you compare those, first of all, they have way more depth. Why is that? I think one reason for that, yeah, that's another thing. The eyes look very flat. They don't really, well, they don't have a lot of contrast, as I like to say, when it comes to the personal feedback session, you know? They don't have a lot of contrast. Everything is sort of in the same gray value. Here we have like maybe lighter gray, but this gray doesn't really, like the difference between this gray and this gray isn't really that big. If you compare it to this one though, you could see here we have like a very, very bright white. On the other side it's like super dark gray. Or not like extremely dark, but it's way darker, significantly darker than this side. It could be the lighting, but I think it's also just overall the maybe the position of the eye. So that's another thing that I want to focus on. The depth. The eyes lack a little bit of depth, let's say. You guessed right. Yeah, I mean, with that sentence, it's quite obvious. Texture space was different too, might not have the resolution. What do you mean? For the texture? Yeah, I don't even know what texture I use for the face here. Is that Jinx? No, that's Caitlyn. I did Jinx too. Hold on. I think you can, with Jinx you can see it even more. There it is. One thing somebody mentioned is that she's not cross-eyed, she's the opposite. I don't know what you call that. I think so inherently humans have a slight outward rotations of their irises, so that I guess, I don't exactly know why, but generally they have like a slight 1 or 2% or 2-degree outward rotation of their eyeball, so the irises point in 2 different directions. For some people you can see it more, for some people you can see it less. But I think for her it's too much. Maybe I should have put, so what I usually do for these kinds of characters, I just use an empty, and then I focus the irises on that empty so they always look at the same spot. So I don't have to kind of guess how I need to place the eyes to make them look like they look at the camera, for example. I think for this one I pulled the empty quite far back. Maybe I pulled it too far back so it looks weird, you know? She just kind of looks like she's looking 2 directions. And also you can see here, I think for her we have more depth in the eyes, but it's not really that much. For her she has very bright eyes, for her she has quite dark eyes. But for both you can see the contrast between the white around the iris and the white at the corner of the eye isn't that big. Another thing that you can see here is that there's no shadow underneath the eyelids. For her, you can see a slight one here, right there, but it's still very, very small. Comparing that to her, can you actually see that? Well, you can see a smaller one here too. But if you compare these ones, these two, to this eye, there's still a certain depth that is lacking for these two. I think that has not only to do with the white part of the eye, but also the iris itself. They look just kind of a little bit flat, let's say. This one has more depth to it. Let's stick with this one. Iris is too small? Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, for this one. That's why I also wanted to make a new eye base mesh. Because I thought I don't know. No, so what I thought, maybe the iris isn't too small, but maybe I made the eyes too big. That was the other thing that I thought. That the eyes, the eye sockets are too big. That the eyeballs are like they have a good size, but the eyelids are too far apart, or maybe the eye socket, let's say, is just too big. That makes them look so small. Another, I guess, one of the people that I kind of, I guess, use as inspiration for these characters is, what are they called again? 7Bs. We looked them up before. Here you go. They create these characters basically. Hey, you can see here, there's Jinx and there's Caitlyn. They create these characters, mainly League of Legends characters. They use DAZ Studio for them to create them, which might make it a little bit, I guess, quicker to do. Probably not easier though. And you can see here for these eyes, these ones for example, I hate that you can't just pull up Instagram images in a new tab. It's so annoying. I think let's go to ArtStation. There you go. So if you compare this eye to this one, there's a huge difference between the two. If you don't notice, let me tell you, there's a huge difference between the two, okay? Compare these eyes to this one. First of all, of course, the iris, as you said, is quite big. I think so. If you compare these two, I think what you can say is that the iris is bigger than these. I think what could also be is that the eye itself is smaller and the makeup just makes it look bigger. Same here, you can see. It's always hard to sort of gauge what the eye size actually is without makeup. If somebody has character, or if a character has makeup and you don't know what they look like without it. Even he has makeup. But you can see how much more depth you have in these eyes. Look at that. Compare that. See how much deeper it goes. Also, the eyes start with a darker value. These ones are so bright white. I think that's also the problem. The sclera is bright too. Yeah, you mean the white parts? I don't know all the technical terms, okay? Yeah. So I'm not going to use the eyes anymore that I use for these characters. I think that it overstayed its welcome, and I want to have new ones. Look at these. They just look so much more natural. Oh, let me show you. Well, now that you see this one, let me show you what I want to get to, okay? What these ones would look like, or what these ones are supposed to look like at the end of the year, okay? If I would do them again, okay? If I started if I started my goal last year and then Arcane came out and I did this project, I guess last year, or like a year, like bring everything back, you know, a year. What they're supposed to look like at the end of the year if I would do the project again. There it is. Let me see if I can find it. Finished projects. Somewhere in here. Nope. Oh, by the way, somebody asked. I think James asked. You can find me on ArtStation now too. That's something you want. Yeah. I added all my stuff to ArtStation. Let me see if I could find it. It was pretty high up here. See, this one has like so much detail in it too. Which is interesting, because... no, it looks like a texture actually. This is a course by Kent Trammell from CG Cookie. A course I've been producing for 2 years. Jesus. Release at the end of this month. Yeah. See how much depth you have in these eyes. That's one more thing you need to, you know, kind of get right to kind of get to like a realistic level. Maybe not necessarily that much, especially if you make like these sort of shots, because you can't really see like that amount of detail, but at least kind of get closer to it. Come on, where are they? I think, let me just see if I can find them. Arcane. Arcane fan art. Is it this one? There it is. So this one I found. So, well, you can probably see the difference. Let's look at this one. So this is basically the goal. If I would recreate this at the end of the year, it would look something more like this. Well, you can see here the irises are way bigger. But I would say these three don't necessarily look like the characters. Like what I always like to call, like, there are two ways how you can recreate, or how you can create fan art for, or how you can recreate your character, or, well, hold on. How you can recreate characters in your fan art. There's either doing it the cosplay way. Cosplay basically meaning if you create a cosplay, you can't really change your face, you can't really change how you look. You might be able to add some makeup, but you can't really change like what your nose looks like, or you wouldn't do that. You could probably do that if you wanted to, if you were very dedicated, but you probably wouldn't do it. You only really would change, like, you would add costume, you would add clothing, you would add makeup, you would add maybe a wig to make yourself look like like the character, but you would still not look like the character in your face. So I think that's what you can see here. These characters look very, very realistic and very, very much like the character. You can see this is Jinx, this is Vi, and this is Caitlyn. But I think comparing that to the actual series, Arcane Caitlyn, let's use Caitlyn just so we can stay with one character. There you go. There you go. I think this one has the costume and the look for the hair. We have the right, I guess, clothing, but I think what is sort of missing are the characteristics in the face. This one looks more like a, I guess, like a human that dressed up as Caitlyn, rather than like a realistic version of Caitlyn, I would say. I think they focused more on the realistic look and the, yeah, basically the hair and the wig, rather than getting the likeness in the face right. And that's something that I focused on for these ones. I wanted to get the sort of proportions and the characteristics of the face right, while also trying to make it realistic, I guess you could say. You could say, well, I would say that I got the likeness right more I wouldn't say that I got it right perfect. That's something that I still want to improve too. Like she has a longer nose. The profile is very significant, or very characteristic of her. You can see like the bridge, how it starts with a certain width for the nose tip, and then it gets thinner, and then it gets thicker again for the bridge, and then it gets thinner again. That's something that I wanted to include here too. This slight of wavy line here. You can see the lips here. You can see the small bump underneath the lips, or the small crease created by the small muscles going to the lips. I think that's something that I focus more on, the likeness, and I think they focus more on the realism aspect. I want to combine these two until the end of the year, okay? I want to get better at likeness, and I want to get better at realism. So that maybe I can combine the two. I can combine this one with this one to make something that looks more like this when it comes to realism, and so more like this, or even better than this when it comes to the likeness. Caitlin's facial features are busted. Well, they're not busted, they're unique, okay? They, I would say they generally speaking, if you have like very stylized characters, you oftentimes have very generic looking characters. They often like to add like clothing or small features in the face. They don't really give a lot of character to the face itself. Disney characters oftentimes look very similar. They might like change the size of the nose, but they don't really look at the like nose bridge, or they look at the smaller features in the face, the medium details you could say, and give them characters that way. Give them like unique features that way. They only really focus on the big parts, like, well, maybe the character is male, so let's just give them small eyes, big nose, and a big chin, for example. Or maybe let's make another one that looks, it's supposed to be like a more skinny male, so let's give them big ears, a big nose, smaller chin, and then, you know, like a scrawny body, for example. I think they did a pretty good job with the, you could say, making them unique by also adding smaller medium details, like the, wait, where's the image? There it is. Like here, the small, the muscles here underneath the lips, or the small highlights here on the side, underneath the eyes, or the eye bags. I think I like that about both the series and the style. Close those windows. Yeah, so that's sort of the goal for this year. Did you make the hair with the particle system? Yes, I did. I used, this one is, well, I copied the one that I used for Jinx. And then improved it a little bit, added some more detail. So this one's fairly simple. It's just like hair strands going to the back. I didn't even add the bun that is supposed to be there because you don't really see it anyway. But this one's fairly simple. Yeah. Her features are very sharp and angular. Comes off as masculine. I would rather the character, hold on, be generic and feminine than what we got. I don't know. I like the look. I guess that's more subjective. Yeah, but that's the outline on what I want to do. Let's go to the focus for today. We didn't really get to too much today because I started later. You know, I started later, an hour later, so we couldn't, you know, we've lost an hour. Let's go into one more topic today, and then I think we're gonna call it. Let's go into what eyes I'm gonna use now. So I wanted to create them myself, so I can sort of explore the anatomy of the eyes a little bit more, and I can also sort of go through the entire process so that I can sort of know, like, okay, I can replicate it. But then Lego graciously gave me his eye model. So now I actually have a really good looking eye model already. I think what I want to do is I want to at least analyze it and see what it's made out of, and see if there's anything I want to change for mine, or if it's exactly what I need. There's one thing that I might want to change, or that I want to adjust maybe. We'll see. I haven't looked at it too much. So let's open it actually. How? I hate the particle hair and they hate me back. Well, you know, you just gotta you gotta learn how to treat them, okay? If you hit them, if you're mean to them, they're gonna be mean back, okay? That's how it works. So what you need to do is you need to know how to treat them. If you want to see exactly how I did it, I think for Caitlin and also for Vi, I did it on stream. So if you want to see this, the I guess live workflow, how I did it, you can see it in the you can see it on YouTube. There you go. Okay. I got kinky real fast. Well, sometimes you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I guess hair is one of those topics. Okay. Resources. There it is. Let me pull up the model. There it is. Oh, that's a small... Wait, where's the eye? Oh, wait, it's not... Oh, no. It's not applied to the collection. Hold on, let me change that real quick. Or can I just append the object itself? I should be able to, right? Object. There it is. Eye. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's actually the same size, right? Maybe. So that's what it looks like. Very interesting, right? Nope. The interesting part comes now. If we change to rendered view. We can actually... let's compare the two. Let's compare this one to the procedural eye. Or to the one that I used before. I don't know why it takes so long now. There it is. So that's what it looks like. You can immediately see. Well, you can't really see it because we have nothing to compare it to. But the iris looks very, very, I guess, detailed. You can also see that the eyeball, I guess you could say, or the what is it? What do you call that? Like the eye hole is made out of a cylinder, and the iris is made out of like a half sphere. So you create this actual depth here. I think the eyes that I have used don't have a hole. They just have like a black spot in the middle. Let's actually compare the two. One thing that I said that I might want to change, that he also mentioned, is the iris structure. I wanted to maybe do it so that I can have multiple textures and switch between them, maybe even with a node. So I can rotate between multiple iris textures basically, so we can have different textures for different characters, for example. I think that could be pretty cool. The pupil? Yeah, I think that, yeah. Okay. Okay, first of all, what I'm gonna check is lightness. Okay. We have some drivers here that lead to somewhere. I don't know where, but they lead to somewhere. Let's actually first compare it to the eye that I use right now. I'm probably gonna grab it from one of my... Should I use it? Let's use the one from Caitlin. Can I just append the object, or do I have to use the whole collection? Okay, hold on. There it is. Oh, well, that's yeah, that was the problem. You can see the textures didn't come with it. So I'm just gonna reappend it. No, I'm gonna append the original file. So I don't have all that cluttering, all that clutter. Project, nope, resources. There it is. Okay. There we have it. Oh, they're actually the same size. Are they? No, these ones are a little bit smaller. You can see we have these nice pink balls. Let's make them, let's bring back the textures. You can see here, this is the procedural part, and then I just baked the procedural part to make them usable. Because the way the procedural part works is it works with the current position of the eye, which means if you rotate the eye, well, only the geometry rotates, but not the iris and anything else. Which, well, as you can probably imagine, doesn't work for characters. The posture looks kind of funky without the mesh. Yeah, because you don't really see the lower body, I didn't really care about making that one like fully, I guess, like I didn't focus on it too much, so it kind of looks kind of weird. It maybe looks a little bit off center or off balance. What do we need? We need texture transmission. Textures. Oh wait, Lego, if you're still here, can you tell me how you embedded the textures into the blend file? Because every time I append my procedural eyes, the problem that I run into is that I always need to relink the textures. And if I ever want to use them again for some reason, I would like to avoid that. So you can see the the color, and then we have the normals too. There it is. And then we need to go to the slot 2 because we have the iris material too. For this one we only have diffuse and normal. Diffuse. There you go. And then we have normal. There it is. Okay. So there you go. First of all, what I want to do is I want to make them the same size. So let's bring them together. Okay, so they're inside of each other. See, we're back to kinky. I guess I don't know if that's that kinky, but I guess if you want it to be. There you go. Perfect. Same size. Okay. If you want it to be, I guess everything can be kinky. You can immediately see the difference. So yeah, I think that's the biggest problem. I had a hunch before, but I think it's sort of I realize it now. Before I say anything, let's switch back to a let's look at a real eye, just to confirm my suspicions. For how long are you using Blender now? Almost 3 years. I started in February 2019. There are some Japanese videos out there when it comes to eyeballs. Oh no. I think I I've seen some balls in my life on this world on the internet, but I don't want to see some eyeballs, okay? In some weird areas. Okay. Oh, eyeball. Okay, so problem is it's hard to find an eyeball that is like a real eyeball and not just 3D model that is fully out of the socket, basically. So this one is just 3D generated, I would guess, because it looks very, very clean and very, I guess, like, you know, perfect, let's say. Same for this one. Same for this one. I mean, I guess we can use it. I would love to have a full-on realistic eye. But if you can't find that, then we can use one of these CG ones too. Let's look for eyeball anatomy. Okay. Can we see front view? Oh, this one's pretty good. Where's Blender? There it is. So I think one thing that I noticed at some point is that the iris compared to the overall size of the eyeball for the one that I use right now is very small. What I noticed is the general rule for eyes is if you put 5 eyeballs next to each other, that is basically, and then you scale them so that they're as wide as the character's skull that you want to use the eyes for. The eyes are basically in the perfect position. If you remove the outer eyes and the middle eye, the 2 eyes that remain are basically in the perfect position to be placed into the character's face. Position-wise and also size-wise. Which means, get a spoon, there's a finished eyeball in smut base. Okay. Yeah, you know, I think I'll just pass on that. Comparing this eyeball to these two, I think this one is closer to this one than this one. This one looks so small now if I compare it to this one, especially to this one. See how much bigger this is? This is probably like 1.5 times as big, maybe even more. Another thing that you can see here, this one is just, it looks kind of comic-y. It looks very, very saturated. That could just be because I've added some subdivision to it in here. It might be too big. I also don't know why the subdivision color is blue. Should be somewhere in red. Does this one have subdivisions? I mean, subsurface? Oh, it doesn't. That's interesting. I guess, do we need subsurface scattering in eyeballs? I guess we don't. Maybe not. What would they look like with subsurface? This one has... I think I also just made these way too big. I think we need to go to something like this. Because they're so small, they need to have a smaller value for these two. And then 0.01. So we have some subsurface coating, but not too much. If you do that here, let's see what that looks like. Ta-da. There you go. And then we increase it to 0.01. Okay, well that doesn't really do too much. What if we set it to 0.1? Yeah, you can see it changes the look very, very drastically. So the way he set it up, he doesn't use subsurface scattering, so I'm just going to leave it that way. I don't really know if it makes a big difference or not. It doesn't really seem that way, so I'm just going to leave it like this. Okay. Yeah, so this one looks a little bit more saturated than this one. Another thing that we can see if we go to the top view is that the red part of the eye goes way further to the iris than this one. See how we have more red on this one, which I kind of maybe want to increase here. I maybe want to make these a little bit, make the back part here a little bit stronger, more red. For the, I guess, some instances maybe where you can see the side of the eyeball more, where you can look in one direction, and the camera sort of sees the edge or the outer corner of the eyeball or whatever. Having a darker red might be useful there. I think that's just like a small detail, but you know, it could be important for certain instances. So maybe I want to make this a little bit more reddish, more darker, a little bit darker. Another thing that I think is interesting is that this eyeball has a flat part here in the back for some reason. See how it's flat right there? I don't really know why, but it's interesting. Maybe just because then you can use UVs a little bit easier. You can remove this star and then make easier UVs, you know, create UVs that are easier to handle than how I did it with this butthole here in the back. Maybe, I don't know. Another thing that you can see which is different is the iris itself. So for these ones, of course, because we made this iris procedurally, you can see here it still has like this very iris-like structure with these wavy lines going into the middle. But the thing that is missing is it has a very, very strong corner here on the outside. For this one, we have a smoother transition from the eyeball or from the sclera to the iris itself. You can see that it's way smoother. Another thing that we can see is that this just ends in a dark hole, let's say, okay? it ends in a dark hole. There's a gradient that goes from the moss color slowly to black. For this one, we have a bigger contrast between the I forgot what this is called. We have a bigger contrast between the hole and the iris. I think that's another thing that is that makes this one look, I guess, more realistic than this one. One thing he said that I also mentioned is that he applied shape keys. Did he? No, he didn't. Wait, how did he do it? He said he had some shape keys so that he can change the iris, so that the iris can expand and shrink to react to light, for example. That's something I mentioned. And it's very easy to do for this one, for example, for this eye, because it's like a tunnel and you can just scale it down and then apply a shape key. For this one is harder because this one just has like a small sphere or like a small disc behind the surface. So how this works is basically like this one. You have a transmissible surface here in the front where the eye is, like right here, so that you can see the disc that is behind it. So in that sense, these ones are similar. The difference between the two is that this one has like a small room here for the, you know, it actually goes into the eyeball. This one doesn't. So for this one, it's harder to create a, I guess, iris shrink or expand effect than this one. So that's another benefit. The characters in Daz have the same shape as their eyeballs. The same shape? What do you mean? What do you mean with the same shape? Are all characters spherical? Okay. He has pupil and eye. So... Oh. He uses these for the shader. Yeah, okay. Lightness. What is lightness? 1 negative lightness. 1 minus lightness. So this is for the color. So does that mean this one here? What if I increase that? It does nothing. Okay. Good to know. Interesting. What if we change the color? Nope. It doesn't change anything. Oh, I think it does. It gives it highlight? No, it doesn't. No. Okay. Well. Mix. Haven't texted in English in quite a while. Eyes are shaped and built like the eye on the left. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. So you can immediately see that this one is different than this one. Let's do one more thing before we end today, okay? So today we learned a little bit about the plan and the goal and what makes the right eye inferior to the left one. Let's now apply this eye and also the improved skin texture to the Caitlin model and just see what it looks like right off the bat. You know, I just want to replace it and see what it looks like afterwards. I don't want to do any like big, I don't know. I don't want to do any big changes on the model. I just want to see if these small changes can immediately bring it closer to realism. Okay, so let's do that. Of course, I don't have the file in here. Here it is. Okay. There it is. Oh no, a naked body. Hide it. Okay. So, there it is. We don't need lights right now. Well, that didn't do anything. Okay. No background, please. Okay. So, oh, you can see the hair particles here too. See how it just ends here? Because we don't see the back. So the way that I use hair particles is I always use, for hairstyles, I use multiple layers of hair particles. The first one just to kind of create a volume of hair. So that's what it looks like. To fill the volume. The next layer is, like these ones are quite broad hair strands. The next one is the second layer that is lying on top of the volume layer, creating the structure of the hair, the one that you can see, as well as the strands that are next to it, or the smaller individual strands, basically. Don't get banned. I actually considered, for the arcane video that I made, blurring everything, because YouTube actually sort of detected that as like naked bodies, because it was basically a naked body, but it was like a base mesh. So I kind of want to figure something out about that too, so that I don't have to do that every time I want to use that base mesh. I think I have something that I can do there. Yeah, I'll just see what I can do. Okay, but let's go to the eyes real quick. I want to keep the eyes, but I want to, I guess, replace them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to append the model. There it is. We need two, of course. Oh, there it is. Next thing, we need to align them. Good thing, well, thank God we have the align add-on. So we're just going to align them this way. That's not the right position. Okay, well, I guess, hold on. Well, hold on. Okay. And then we IL, copy, make a new group, paste, go into weight pane, select everything, weights, set, make everything red. There you go. Then we need to go into the armature and use meta rig, and there you go, now it's in the right position. Might be too far back, we'll see. Let me get rid of the other one. Let's call it IL old in caps, so I see it. There you go. Next one, we have the other one. Wait. Yeah. IR. Go to weights. Oh, nope. Weights. Set. Okay. Perfect. IR. Old. Perfect. There it is. Let's see what it looks like. I'm excited. Let's go into this view so we can see the final version. Twitch and YouTube need to get it straight when it comes to art. There are people out there just an inch away from drawing hentai and they're good to go, but don't you dare build a 3D shape. I don't exactly know well, I read through the rules, and it is slightly blurry. Maybe I don't fully understand it. But there's one section that says nudity or partial nudity when it comes to sculptures or art is allowed. And then there's another one where it says, well, I think what it says is as long as it's not, as long as it's not the focus of the video, it's okay. For Twitch it's different. I think for Twitch it's like, well, no nudity and that's it, basically. But for YouTube it's that way. The problem is, it's not necessarily the rules, it's more the bot that skims through the video and says, well, there's something that we don't need, that we can't monetize fully, let's say. And like saying, well, the bot is wrong can take 7 days for like an actual human to review, and most of the time I don't really care about that, or I don't want to wait that long for somebody to look through my video and say, well, okay, well, we still agree with the bot that it's I guess nudity, or that it's not allowed, or they say, well, you know, it's allowed, it's okay. I don't want to wait 7 days. I just, you know, next time I create a character, I guess focus on that more, that I don't have any nudity in the video. I think that's easier. Okay, that's what it looks like. Oh wow, those eyes are quite big. Those look, I think they are a little bit too big. Comparing that to the old ones. Oh wow, okay, well those are some nice alien eyes, because we need to apply the textures again. Let's stick with those. So, I think these eyes are a little bit too big, but we can still, you know, just, I guess, scale them down to see how far we can go. So I think the next problem that arises is that the eyeball itself, I mean the eye socket, is too big. I think that's another one. That's another thing that I would have to adjust, but I don't want to do it right now, so I'm just going to scale the eyes down. Oh. Hold on. I guess I'll just do it manually for each one of them. Say 0.98. Is that too much? Maybe even 0.96. Yeah, I think 0.96 looks pretty good. 0.9, oh. 0.96. So maybe it's just I'm just not used to it. The irises being so big, but comparing that to the original, it's quite a big difference. Let's compare it. So comparing that one to the final render. Oh, I don't want to trash it. You can see the difference is quite big. Why do you scale it down? There you go. You can see the difference is quite big. Maybe I'm just not used to it, but they look quite big now. Maybe they're a little bit too big. Let me compare that to like a real images real quick, just to kind of have another. I think compared to these ones, they look quite similar. These ones look smaller, I think, or maybe they have more. I don't know. I think the size is okay now. I think you can still improve them, but they're definitely better than this. I think that's quite obvious. What we could do is we could go into the iris real quick and change the color. It's a very nice blue. Well, that's quite dark. Yeah, I don't want to play around with this too much, so I'm just going to leave it there. There you go. Need to get to know this more. Yeah, but you know, the difference is quite big between the two. There you go. Welcome, Thaddeus Matthews. Welcome. Hope you had a great Monday. Thank you for the compliment. This one is actually a finished model. We're discussing right now what I want to improve. I guess what I want to focus on to make this one better. So this is the final version of this character. I kind of gathered some feedback, and one of the main, I guess, criticisms were the eyes. So we're now kind of comparing the new eyes that I want to use to the old ones, and I think they make quite a big difference. Another thing that I want to try is I want to apply the skin material. Problem is it's so noisy that we probably can't see it. Actually, if we go close enough, we might be able to see it. We can also increase the. There you go. Okay, so now that we're quite close to the lips, let's actually apply the second level of displacement here. So we have the bump map here. What is this? Oh, okay. So we have the 16K displacement map here. We also have the secondary bump map here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Oh no. There you go. That's good. And then we need this one. We're gonna put that in here. Height. There you go. Takes a while. There it is. So first of all, we need to reduce the the scale. What, I forgot what I had it on. I think it was it 0.5 or less? I think I saved it. Hold on. There it is. Wait, no, I didn't save it. Well, I guess we just have to do it by hand. I think it was 0.2. Let's see what it looks like with 0.5. Still too much, so let's set it to point. Oh, it was 0.00025. There it is. Okay. Yeah, I think for this one it doesn't make a big difference just because it's so small. So we can't really see it in this one. Maybe if you go closer though. There you go. I think it's still hard to see. Yeah, it's too noisy. But we can at least see the eyes. I think the eyes make a huge difference comparing these ones to the old ones. Even just the eyes. Now I need to just figure out how you can change the the iris color. What if we change it? No, this didn't do anything, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna figure that out. And then we have everything that we need to use these eyes and maybe adjust them a little bit. So we can, I guess, improve the eyes. Because right now they, or before, they look very, very unrealistic. And we can have, let's look at one more part. Let's look at one more comparison, which is this one. Nope, these ones. Yeah, I think the eyes have a pretty good size like this. I think they're pretty good. Maybe a little bit too big, but I think that is more because the eye hole is so big. I think I need to reduce that. So I think what I want to do tomorrow is, we're going to do a, I guess, live follow along of sculpting an eye. I think that's what I want to do tomorrow. I think I'm going to also make this a video. So if you want to rewatch that, of course you can always watch the VOD, but I'm probably going to make a, yeah, we're gonna make a Bob Ross-like live follow along of how to sculpt an eye in Blender tomorrow. And then we're gonna go deeper into it and analyze the sort of shape and maybe even the proportions or the general shape a little bit more. Maybe do a few more too, just so we can practice it a little bit more. So that's gonna be what we're gonna do tomorrow. How long have you been working with Blender? Almost 3 years, 1 more month. Well, I've been working with it for 2 years and 11 months to be exact. So next month is going to be 3 years. Yeah. Still so much I can learn and improve. And what I can hopefully produce at the end of the year, or at least maybe even before that, is something like this. That's the goal. Remember to wear a wig. Oh, you mean... I mean, maybe I can style my hair a little bit that way, but I don't think I can get it that, I don't think I can get a wig that fast. Haven't attempted to make a human model yet. I mean, whenever you feel comfortable, I guess. The earlier you start, the more you can learn, the better you can get. The quicker you can get better, let's say. Were you... Oh, beating a brush? I could use my pen and just slap that against my table, I guess. Yeah, but... Yeah, if you want to, join for that tomorrow, then feel free. I'll try to make it as easy to follow as possible. So anybody else can follow live too. Okay. We're gonna go through like what I use, my tools, and what I guess what strength and all that, and then we're gonna sculpt an eye tomorrow. But I think for today we're gonna end it there. I think we learned quite a lot. We already improved the look of the eye. Now it just comes to, well, I want to explore eyes a little bit more, not only, I guess, anatomy, but overall how you use them, or, I guess, like, yeah, sculpting eyes, for example. That's what we're going to do tomorrow. A little bit more about that. I want to go into that a little bit more in this week, maybe even next week. Probably, I think this week is enough. Next week I want to go more, I want to go broader, I guess. We can still, like, the good thing is, if you want to improve eyes, you can maybe focus on, we could focus on the eyes in 1 week, and then we can go broader and say, well, you know, we could still improve the eyes, but why don't we just create full characters? I don't want to create full characters next week, but we can broaden it a little bit more so that we can still do something new while also improving eyes. Okay. So yeah. Beating the devil out of it. Yeah. Okay. Yep, that's what we're going to do tomorrow. So yeah, maybe you learned something with me today. Maybe I don't know, you learned even more than me. That would be even better. Thank you for joining, or maybe, yeah, thank you for joining, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, chatting, or just being here. Maybe I'll see you next time. Maybe I'll see you tomorrow. If you haven't joined the Discord yet and you want to know when I go live, I always post there. When I go live, of course. The link should be in the YouTube description, or !Discord should work too. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, chatting, or just being here. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Maybe I'll see you next time. And until then, take care.